So thank you again for having me. Um, so today, obviously, the topic that we're going to speak about is fear. Obviously, fear is one of the number one things that are going through people's minds. This is something that Reb Nachman spoke about a lot, the concept of fear. And we know the opposite of fear is obviously trust. So we have an option today. Either we fear the media, we fear the world, we fear what's going on, or we trust in Hashem. Hashem puts us in a situation, obviously. He puts us in a situation where a person has to have free will. If we didn't have these tests by our Creator, then obviously how would we get rewarded? So ultimately, the ultimate key is to go from fear to trust. We spoke about today in the class today that the whole concept of whatever I'm casual with, the Torah speaks about this parsha this week, that whatever we're casual with, we're going to end up becoming a casualty too. I'll do the books at the end of the class if you want. I'll do the books at the end of the class. So whatever we're casual with in life, we're going to become a casualty too. For example, if we're casual with our diet, we're going to be a casualty to our diabetes. If we're casual with our relationships, we're going to become a casualty to, God forbid, to divorce. If we're casual with anything in life, we're going to become a casualty. So one of the things that you have to understand, if you're casual with your spirituality, you're going to be guaranteed to panic and fear. So the only way really to get above this and to really think greater than you feel and to feel an altered state in all this chaos is really to go all in on spirituality and to use this situation as a time to build trust in your Creator. It's funny how the whole purpose of the media today, the whole purpose of what does fear do? The whole purpose of fear is to control a person. When a person puts fear into you, they'll tell you when to leave, what time to leave, where you're going to go. Basically, you're paralyzed because of fear. And that's one of the things that we need to understand, that the more we fear, the more we're paralyzed. Let's say a person got into a relationship and he got rejected, or a person got a relationship and it didn't work out. His fear is going to be going into another relationship. His fear is always going to be making another move. So basically, fear tells you when to do it, how to do it, what time to do it. It basically paralyzes you. So whether we talk about this concept of a general fear of what's going to happen with my life, what's going to happen with my parnasa, what's going to happen with my livelihood, or we talk about I'm so fearful that I can't even make a decision. Am I making the right decision? I'm afraid that I'm making the wrong decision. You understand? So fear is a big topic. If you could take fear to another level, you talk about paranoia. We know that if we use prayer the right way, we can use imagination the right way. But if a person is not using fear the right way, what happens? Fear ends up becoming paranoia. And then people live in paranoia, they live in fearing these things are going to happen to them, and it's not even true. So you could see that the evil inclination does a very good job of taking over control of a person's mind. So again, fear could start from worry to paranoia, to being frozen, to affect your decision making. Rav Nachman tells you it's gonna allow you to make mistakes. Fear is gonna take away all your strength, because we know that the organ that's very connected to fear is the kidneys. The kidneys is the organ of fear. If a person has excessive fear, this can affect his kidneys. When his kidneys are off balance, or his kidneys have a irregularity, like in Chinese medicine, this would represent fatigue. It would represent losing hair. It would represent loss of appetite, no strength, because the adrenal glands, where a person gets energy for adrenaline, if his adrenal glands are constantly working on fear, fight or fear, then all of a sudden his kidneys could be unbalanced. He has no strength, and this is where the fear is connected to the organ of the kidneys. So we could see how it could affect your health. We could see how it could affect your spirituality. We could see how it could affect you basically across the board. So this is not something that you have to take lightly. This is something that you have to go all in. You can't take fear and recognize that if I don't work on what I want, I'm going to automatically get what I don't want in life. If you don't work for if you don't go for what you want, if you don't develop a relationship with your Creator, asking for trust, read as much as you can on bitachon and trust, then what happens is you're going to automatically fall into this fear, anxiety, etc. So it's not like you just wake up with fear. No, it's because you're not working on it. There's no question if you're watching the news for 3-4 hours and you're not doing anything spiritual, you might wake up in the morning with a tremendous amount of panic. Because what happens at night, your soul got refreshed. You didn't really feed it anything good. You didn't feed it anything positive. So the default is whatever you saw. And we know usually a person dreams about what he sees during the day. So if you're having nightmares and you're waking up with nightmares, there's a good chance you're watching too much of this. You're getting involved way too much in the media, and you're focusing on things that are not controlled. And even you could even see how much the manipulation of data, how they use the data today to manipulate. For example, they're using, Florida usually has around 500 to 600 cases a day. So next thing you know, there's a big article. Since beaches are open, cases tripled, 2,100 cases over 3 days. Yeah, it's normal. They have 500 cases a day. But now, since it's open, they use the data, and it's only 200 extra more people, because if you do the math, but they use it to multiply and to scare you. This is exactly the purpose of what people are doing, solely for the sake of controlling you. Who knows the hidden agendas that people have going on. And this is that we have to understand, that this is a time where you are powerless over anything. It's only to turn to Hashem and to turn into bitachon. If we look at the parsha this week we just wrote about the parshas of Behar. And it's something absolutely beautiful. How much worry has an effect on your livelihood? What is the connection between worry and livelihood? If we look at this book from the Noam Elimelech, he says in the parshas of Behar, pipelines of blessings, and he says in the Torah, and if you shall say, he's asking, never in the Torah does it really say extra words, but here he's saying, he says, and if you shall say, what will we eat on the 7th year? Behold, what we will not sow or not gather in our crops. I command you my blessings for the 6th year, and I will give you blessings for 3 years. So the Torah is telling you, listen, take the 7th year off. I'm going to give you enough on the 6th year. You're going to have enough for 3 years. Imagine telling a guy today, take a year off your business. I'll take care of you on the 6th year. You're going to have enough for 3 years. The guy, he would not stop worrying. He would not stop panicking. What's going to be with tomorrow? What's going to be with this? What's going to be with that? And what happens is every single time the Noam Elimelech says we worry, what happens is the blessing of God is ceaseless. The blessing comes to a person ceaseless, without any kind of flaw. There's no flaw in our Creator. Light comes down, you are the receptacle. But what happens is when man gets involved and he starts losing his trust in his Creator, what happens is, the Noam Elimelech says, this weakens the power above, and it disconnects the pipeline from heaven to you. So it's very common that people worry in business, they get angry. Obviously, worry turns to anger because you lose control. So you can see the pattern. Look how you can lose money. First, you worry, you disrupt your vessels. Second, you get angry. Then you all of a sudden, anger causes a person to lose wealth. You can see how much fear is responsible for sabotaging your financial success, sabotaging your ability to see things clearly. So remember, first it starts as worry. Worry is a constant thing. Then it starts as anger, because after you lose control, you worry out of control, leads to anxiety and anger. And then all of a sudden you lose, not only you disrupt the channels from above, but next thing you know, what happens? You get angry. So now you have a double loss. And this is what he's saying here. When you ask, don't ask, what will we eat on the 7th year? What will we eat on the 7th year? Don't ask those questions. Don't put a limit on your Creator. Because of what we go through, and because of the amount of influence that we're around, and because of the negative people we're around, and because of the society we're around, we somehow find a way to put a limit on our Creator. Like, we think that our Creator cannot bail us out in a blink of an eye. So what happens is we worry in advance to control the problem, and next thing you know, what happens? Not only do you not get it, you sabotage it. Next thing you know, you get into an exhaustion, you get into terrible, terrible moods, you screw up your kidneys, and next thing you know, what happens? Nobody wins. So it's so important today that we have to understand you have to stop worrying. Now you got to tell me, I can't do that. I've been worrying for years. Yeah, you have a habit of worrying. You're not a worrier. You have a habit of worrying. It's not you. So what happens is just like a habit we have to create. When you've created a habit of worrying, you also have to create a habit of bitahon, a habit of doing a meditation on trusting Hashem and being able to make decisions. Like, for example, I go meditate. You can see this beautiful water. I meditate on Hashem having my life, having tranquility and having bitachon and having, God willing, there's no limits to Hashem. And this is the way I program my mind, so I'm able to not get influenced so much by the constant negativity that people are around. Because believe it or not, there's no question there's negativity across the board. There's negativity across the board. But you have to be able to overcome that and be able to rise above the world. And this is exactly what your Creator wants from you. He wants you to rise above. So if He's telling you, take the 6th year off, take Shabbat off, and I'll give you for 3 years, you are supposed to trust in Him. And the only thing you have to do is just trust in Him, believe, and then all of a sudden the blessing comes. But when a person starts again, he loses his level. This creates a burden on Hashem. That's what he's saying here, the Lo Melech, that he creates a burden. What does it mean, a burden? It's almost like, I always give this a great example. You know, you go to the gas station, you pump gas, and next thing you know, they fill up your car with gas. And all of a sudden, you run off with the tank. I myself have run off with the tank, just not being on the phone, not paying attention. Next thing you know, I'm driving away, and the tank and the gas thing is spilling all over the place. And what happens is you have to go back, and you have to tell the manager, hey, by the way, can you reconnect the thing? And you feel sorry. You feel like you're burdening the guy. All of a sudden, the guy has to go outside. He has to go fix the pump. You sort of put like a burden on this particular person. You put a burden on the gas guy, on the manager of the gas station. Lahavdil, we do the exact same thing. When you fall away from your spiritual level, what happens is you basically are putting a burden on your Creator, and now He has to reconnect the pipe for you. So if you never cease the communication with Him, if you never cease the worry and anxiety, the pipe shefa goes through very smoothly. But once we sabotage ourselves by not being careful what we think about, by worrying, which absolutely does absolutely nothing for you, which is all rooted in fear, then what happens is you all of a sudden you seize those creations. So just on that basis, a person should understand how much it's causing, because Rav Nachman said that every single time you think and every time you worry, you're actually sending signals in heaven that things are not good. So unfortunately, if I'm signaling a lack or I'm signaling fear, then I can't get back trust in return. It's very simple. The whole Kabbalah is based on a reaction and a reaction above. Whatever there's a reaction below, there's a reaction above. If I say hello to somebody, they're going to say hello back to me. So every time there's an action, there's a reaction afterwards. So we have to be careful that we have actions and there's also reactions to absolutely everything we do. Can everybody hear me so far? Is everybody everybody following so far? Yes? Yes? Good? Is the hearing good? Okay, I just want to make sure. So it's not like you can just go to work and, do your thing. No, you have to actually spend time and ask your Creator to help you not worry. Ask your Creator to help you trust in Him. Because at the end of the day, it's causing you so much stress and so much anxiety and so much weight loss. We know today, what exactly happens when you fear? Fear is very connected to cortisol. Cortisol is creating, what happens to cortisol? It injects, basically it's like a sugar rush. So they connect cortisol. Every time you get a cortisol, you get adrenaline. And that adrenaline it's like a sugar rush, like a sugar that goes into your stomach. So there's a connection between fear, cortisol, and having belly fat. Because just like your body doesn't know if it's going into a famine or if you're in the office. So there's a connection between excessive cortisol and excessive weight gain. So look at the, I'm just giving you so much reasons that you have to take time out of your day, specifically in the morning, to have some kind of relationship with your creator and have a new habit of offsetting the worrying by creating, by imaging, by asking for trust or imagining trust or doing whatever you have to do really to stop this vibration in heaven. Because the last thing you want to do is wake up with a headache and deal with today and go through this over and over again. So, this is one thing that I constantly stress on. Your life comes down to your habits, and your habits determine your life. And this is something that we really, really have to work on. So this is exactly what the Noam Elimelech says. Stop worrying. Stop making intention in heaven. Don't be like the person that's saying, what's going to be tomorrow? What's going to be this? You always want to ask good questions. Hashem, what can I do better? Another thing that worry does, and another thing that fear does, is it prevents you from making any decisions. What's really the difference between bitachon, which is trust, and emunah? The difference between trust and faith is action. Whether I take action in my life is determining based on my trust. I can have faith, but I cannot take action. So I still have emunah. I can have a belief that things will work out, but only through taking trust do I show that I'm trusting. And I can't tell you how many today that many people are suffering in decision fatigue. They're worrying about what decision to make, or they're worrying about how do I know I made the right decision, or they're worrying about how things could have been better in the past. But when you make decisions out of fear, which is usually the decision you make out of fear, is usually no decision. That is usually the worst decision. Because when you make no decision, not only you're not going to learn anything, but you're always waiting and procrastinate. And what happens is not only do you never take action, but then you start losing trust in yourself. You lose confidence in yourself, and you start second questioning everything you do. And then this is not really a way to live, because if you always question everything you do, you're afraid to open up a business, you're afraid to go into a relationship, you're afraid to date this person, you're afraid to do that. Then what are you really living for? I mean, what are you really living for? Living in safety and living in being in a comfort zone so much that it's not really living anyway. It's not really living, because what's the point? You're just constantly you're constantly waiting for certainty. We know that we are in this world, and you're going to have one thing that's guaranteed, is you're going to have uncertainty. You're going to be certain that there's going to be uncertainty. So once you already recognize that you have to have uncertainty, once you already recognize that this world is a world where you have to show the action below first, and then you don't mind making decisions, then you don't mind trying things, then you don't mind going for that relationship. You don't mind things because you know that this is the way that your creator wants you. He wants you to get going. He wants you to move. He doesn't want you to sit there and wait and think. Did I do this right? Did I do that right? This is not a world of certainty. So the more certainty you want in life, the more emotionally unstable you're going to be, because things will never be certain in your life. But if you never look for it and you just jump in, then the more happy you are that you don't have to wait in decision fatigue. So that's another thing that fear does to a person. It paralyzes him. It snuffs his ability to make decisions. It screws up his parnasa. It makes him exhausted. It makes him tired. Excessive cortisol. And most important, which we're going to talk about soon, is whatever you're actually fearing is what actually you're attracting. Imagine that. Not enough that the damage is done. Not enough that the damage is done already. Everything else that I'm talking about. Not enough that we already spoke about lack of decision-making, exhaustion, not ability to receive shefa above. Now, whatever I'm actually fearing, it becomes the thing that I'm attracting. So think of another way of just completely ruining your life. I mean, what other way do you want to ruin your life? So Reb Nachman says in Sefer Hamidot, a person who is afraid makes mistakes. Guaranteed. You're going to be guaranteed to make mistakes. Any decisions based on fear, which are usually no decisions, are basically the fear you're going to make. Trusting in God will save you from fears. If you look at the dollar bill, what does it say? It says, in God we trust. So your job is to go from fear to trust. Your job is to say, my life is not a threat. My life is a challenge. I'm here in this world I'm here in this world to recognize my creator in everything. I'm not here in this world to run away from my creator. A person who's always threatened will always go back into comfort. He's never going to go into growth. So a person who's always in fear, he's always going to think his life is a threat. If your life is a threat, you're going to go back in comfort. If your life is a challenge, you're going to be able to take challenges on, and you're going to be able to say, bring it on. So the difference between, oh my God, I can't handle it, versus saying, bring it on, is the way you look at your life. What is your life? Is your life a challenge? Is your life a threat? Every decision you make in your life is based on your beliefs. All actions are based on beliefs. So if I believe my life is a challenge, I'm going to make decisions. I'm going to go for it. If I believe my life is a threat, I'm going to stay away from any kind of decision, and I'm going to go into hide. I'm going to go into panic. I'm going to go into comfort. I'm going to go into anything that's going to basically, unfortunately, sabotage my growth. So this is something that's super, super serious, because your whole life is going to come down to your decisions. You know, Baruch Hashem, I was able to get married after divorce very quickly. I was able to open up businesses very quickly after failed businesses. I was able to always be resilient because I recognize that that the worst thing I can ever do is wait, because that's the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is always going to tell you, wait. It's going to tell you, don't do it. Wait tomorrow. Procrastination, perfectionism is all a form of fear telling you to wait and wait for the perfect moment, wait for the situation. So we don't want to be like this. We don't want to live like this. This is not the way we want to live. This is not the way you want to live your life. You want to live your life with growth. You want to live your life with happiness. You want to live your life with being able to fall and be able to get up very quickly when you fall. And that's what humility does for you. Humility allows you to get up quickly. Humility allows you to take chances. Humility allows you to say, what do I have to do next, instead of what are people going to think? So this is so much leverage to talk about fear. So again, Reb Nachman says here that fear saps your strength. It takes away all your strength. When you trust in God, you're not going to be frightened. When you're humble, you're not going to be frightened. Anxiety produces fear, and fear comes because of anger. So you can see all of this is a form of control. Whenever I worry about something, again, what am I seeking? I'm really seeking to try to control it. I'm trying to control things. I don't want to let it just go. So this is why we constantly have to work on this. And this is a very serious matter. If I talked about this before the classes, I can't even imagine today trying to live your life, trying to live any kind of life without any kind of bitachon. I mean, you're going to be a hostage to fear. Maybe you won't even get out of your house. Of course, you have to be cautious. Of course, you have to be careful with your mask and social distancing. No question about it. But what this thing is turned into, it's just out of control. It's out of control, and I fear. And I see, when I was meditating, I feel like people are getting brainwashed. And what's happening is sadness, depression, anxiety is a much worse case. I'm in the addiction business, and I can tell you, I've seen ex-clients that they're not existing anymore. They've committed suicide. They overdosed, and I've seen people die these times, not on COVID, on completely despair and not having a will to live. So if we don't get our act together, we're going to have a major situation in our hands, and this is something that we really need to get a grip on. Lesson 154 from Likutei Moharan, Reb Nachman says that no, there are fallen fears, just like a fallen love. I can love Hashem, or I can love something else. Just like there's fallen loves, there's fallen fears. If I fear Hashem, I trust in Him. But if I don't fear Hashem, then I start having a fear called a fallen fear. he says here, all afflictions and judgments, all the obstacles, all the problems that we're going through, all the situations that we make things bigger than they are. Reb Nachman is telling you here that they come only to you from a state of fallen fears. That means you didn't fear God, so all of a sudden the thing that you fear, you've given it power. Whatever you fear, you've given it power all of a sudden. So we have the ability. If we fear Hashem, none of those things can affect us. But when we don't fear Hashem, then all of a sudden we become unfortunately, we become subjugated with the thing that we fear. Whether you're fearing an attorney, whether you're fearing, God forbid, this virus, whether you're fearing a doctor, whether you're fearing anything, your judgment no longer goes from heaven. Your judgment now goes into the thing that you actually feared. And this is a problem, because all of a sudden you lose when you lose bitachon, when you lose trust in God. You know what's going to happen? You actually become subjugated to the thing that you're fearing. And this is what she says here, that the Torah commands us that this is from Parshas Devarim. It says, whoever is afraid, it talks about a soldier going to a war. And it talks about very clearly that whoever is afraid, that the Torah tells him to go home. Whoever is afraid when they're going to a war, and the person's afraid that maybe he's going to lose or maybe he's going to die, you know what the Torah tells him? Go home. Don't go to war. Go home. Because what's going to happen? If you end up going, you're going to all of a sudden make everybody anxious, and you're going to bring fear upon yourself. So the Torah is very clear in telling you, listen, if you're living in fear, stay home. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start attracting the thing that you fear. And this is from the Torah. This is the Maharal explains. Why is he sent home? The Maharal says, why is this person sent home? The Maharal explains that his weakness, fear, and a lack of trust in God will lead him to death in battlefield. Imagine that. It's not that Hashem has declared that person to die. It's because that person had weakened. That person all of a sudden had fear that will attract that person to lose. The Reishis Chachma says something beautiful. It says 3 things weaken a man and darken his face: fear, travel, and sin. These are the things that travel, that make a person worry, make a person anxious. The Baal Shem Tov says the things that a person fears are what eventually come upon him. So now we know that besides the amount of lack of life and lack of living a life of meaning and purpose and growth, that now whatever I'm actually fearing is going to come upon me. So now I have to worry about that. You could be worried, oh my God, I'm going to get the coronavirus. Oh my God, I'm not going to make it. And you could actually cause this to happen, believe it or not. And this is not Tony Robbins' information. This is the Torah telling you this. This is the Torah's stance on this. And where do these fallen fears come from? This comes from the Gemara 77b. We know we're very close to the Gemara for those who are following the Daf Yomi. I think the Daf Yomi is up to 72. Gemara 77 talks about the five dreads that come upon the mighty. That means there are 5 things that very strong animals are afraid of. It talks about a lion being afraid of a gnat, an elephant being afraid of a mosquito. It talks about 5 elephant, lion, gnat, big fish. It talks about 5 big fish, the strongest animals in the kingdom. That these animals are afraid of the smallest things. Like a huge elephant is afraid of a little mosquito. What happens is because we don't have that bitachon, we make those little things become very, very big. And this is something that this all comes from. Where does it come from? It's called menatzpach. Menatzpach is it's rooted in the fallen kedusha. Menatzpach, it represents, the word menatzpach represents, if you look at the letters in the alphabet, there's letters that go all the way to the bottom. Like, for example, the nun. There's a nun sufit. There's a samik sufit. There's all these kinds of letters that go all the way down. And these represent these going into the realm of the darkness. So whenever we create, we're subject to fear. You have to understand you're not dealing with a pure source. You're dealing with an impure negative source that's controlling you. That's why a person has to do whatever he can, whether it's 10 minutes a day, putting on beautiful music and feeling like you have a tremendous trust in God, whether it's talking to Hashem from your own heart, to telling him that forgive you for all the fallen fears you've had. But you have to do something. You have to do something to be able to interrupt this pattern of waking up or having these anxiety attacks that are constantly running. You have to create new patterns. It's not enough to say, oh, I'm going to be more calm tomorrow. No, you have to actually create a new pattern. Just like you created a pattern of worrying, you have to now create a pattern of trust. You have to create a pattern of joy. You have to create a pattern of abundance, and a pattern of trust, and a pattern of this. And this is exactly what we talk about. So may Hashem help us all, that we're going to start taking questions. But this is, we've said enough. How much fear is important, and how much the Torah condemns it, and how much we have to do whatever we can to run away from it. And we have to do whatever we can to educate ourselves, to understand how important it is to fight fear and go all into trust. Because remember, you can't be half pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be half. There's no such thing as, I have 50% fear, but 50% trust. No, you have trust, you have fear. You have to say, I'm 100% trust. When you say, I'm all in, then the worries, the anxieties, they go away. Maybe you'll fall for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but you're not going to be consumed by it the whole day, and your life is not going to be shortened by this constant panic and these things. So if you want it, we can leave it up to the questions now. Isaac and good? Okay.
Yeah. Gedale, you prefer that I should put the people that have questions, that they should go up on screen and they should ask?
Whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Or they can ask you, you can read them, you can read them to me, whatever you want.
Okay, well, I could put them in screen if they want that. They could ask
whatever
straight.
you want, whatever is easier for you. Whatever is easier for you. I'm very easygoing. Mexicans go with the flow. They're very nice, very easy flow. They're not so particular about. Go ahead.
Okay, so I put Susan on the screen. I don't know if she wants to ask publicly or not, but she's asking, I'm saying thank you more even if I am mad.
Okay. She's saying thank you if you're mad. What's the question?
That's what she's saying. I'm saying thank you more even if I am mad.
Okay, well, it's okay.
I don't know what's the question, but
yeah, I don't know the question. Okay, it's good. So the bottom line, I think she's saying that even if she feels mad, she feels feels thankful. The bottom line is, I don't want you to say thank you like a little birdie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I want you to recognize that maybe you weren't looking at that situation the right way. It's first that we need to question. This is a very, very important principle in life. Okay, very important. We have to question our thoughts, not question our creator. Sometimes a person is upset. Why am I upset? An emotion is telling you to check yourself why you're upset. So you should ask yourself, why am I upset? And then go into that thing. And then you could, when you change the way you look at it, Hashem will send you a new thought, a positive way. And then once you see the positive way, then you should say thank you. You understand?
Yeah.
It's not a thing to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. You have to understand that why you were mad is because you were not looking at it the right way. You understand? I saw somebody ask, how do you deal with past traumas? There's a few ways to deal with past traumas. Obviously, it's in the beginning. There's no question you definitely might need some therapy to digest it. But there's a way to understand that whatever a person did to you, whatever the person did to you, you have to understand that most of the times we're traumatized because we took a lot of the things that happened to us personally. And you have to understand that anybody that would hurt you and anybody that would emotionally hurt you, anything that would happen that somebody did something to you, is a good chance we took it personal. And you have to understand that that person at that time, maybe he was sick, maybe he wasn't well. So you have to really give him mercy instead of trying to hate him. Another way of trauma, to look at trauma, is to recognize that trauma is part of life. You have to go through it. Everybody has to go through some kind of trauma in your life. It's called in Kabbalah the breaking of the vessels. And the only thing you could do with the past is have emunah. The only thing you could do with the future is have bitachon. So the only way to properly get rid of trauma is really believing that that thing happened to you for the best. And how do we know this? We know this from Yosef Atzadik. Yosef Atzadik says, I wasn't sold here. You didn't sell me here. I was sent here. Believing, emunah is believing that everything's happening for your benefit. So it could be that you went through that trauma to make you stronger, to make you closer to your creator. But you can never succeed if you still believe you're a victim. We have to turn it from a victim to a co-creator.
Okay. So we have in the screen, we have Jacobo. He has a question.
Yeah.
Jacobo, you want to turn on? There he is. You're in mute.
Jacobo, what's up, my friend? Nice to see you.
Jacobo, you're in mute. You're in mute. We can't hear you.
That's good
Hi,
for Shalom Bayit. It's good for Shalom
been?
Bayit, but not for Zoom. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Good. Nice from Miami.
The question that I have is, why we need to be afraid of being afraid? It's if sometimes being afraid help us to protect us to take right decisions, and sometimes even though being like afraid to God also is being afraid of consequences of that God doesn't want us to happen in our lives.
Of course. Fear of God is not what we're talking about here. Fear of God is you have to have a fear of God. If you have a fear of God, you're very careful what you do. But when it turns into
even in situations, we being afraid protect us of not doing.
Right.
I don't know.
But usually, if fear is involved in too much, usually the aspect of fear, it makes you wait and it makes you procrastinate and it makes you not make the right decisions. Jacobo, there's times that you could have been 100% sure in a business deal and you thought you were 100% right and you lost the money, right? And there's times that I was very fearful and I made it. So sometimes Hashem wants us to go through the process one way or the other. He has to make you go through the process. So it's the best thing to do is get the process moving. Anytime if that fear, sometimes fear is signaling that you're not ready for something. So if it's maybe sometimes people have fear because they're not ready, they're not prepared. So that could be a signal for them to be prepared. But fear, as far as fearing people or fearing that somebody's going to get me or fearing that this attorney is going to do something to me or fearing that I'm going to get robbed, worrying that somebody else can affect you, but not Hashem, according to our sages, is not favored at all. You understand? I could be afraid of losing money if I think the guy's a crook, but that's a different type of a fear. That's God sending you a sign to be careful, to investigate the guy. You understand? I'm afraid that this guy's not honest. That's a different thing. That's using your intuition and saying, be careful, be cautious. You understand? But not to use it to the point here is we're using is not to sit there and worry about things you can't even control and not even to make decision making, not even able to live your life because you're constantly afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow when you have no control of it. I think that's what we're talking about here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. For example, I have clients that say, I fear I'm going to relapse. I fear I'm going to start using again.
Right.
That's a good fear because it teaches the guy, hey, be ready. Don't think you have it in the bag. Don't think you have it in the bag. You have to go. You have to be more careful on your recovery. You understand? That fear is good because that's signaling a guy, be careful. You're not ready. You understand?
Right.
You're not ready. You might relapse if you're too casual. So that fear is actually very good when it's signaling to tell you you're not prepared. You're not ready.
Thank you. So there is a good fear
a good fear, yeah. When it leads you to think that you have it in the bag.
Right.
You understand? When it thinks that you for example, obviously you have to go outside and you can't touch people's hands and you can't sit there and kiss people. That's stupidity. So yeah, you have to have some kind of fear that if I do something, if I put myself in danger, something can happen to me. So anytime where you're putting yourself in danger, if fear is signaling for you that be careful with that guy. Sometimes I'm about to do business with somebody, I get that nauseous, I get this, something's wrong. I'm afraid to do it. Then that could be a positive sign to do it. You understand?
Right. Thank you.
But that's a short-lived one. That's not something that, what I'm dealing with here is most people are just, their minds are just worrying about things that they can't control. And it's just constantly exhaustion of energy and panic and life. Okay?
Got it.
Good.
So, Gedale, we have here a question. She is asking that she feels like she spends all day building bitachon, and at night when she sits to speak to Hashem, so her thoughts shifts back to negative. And it doesn't matter how much she learns.
Great question. That's an amazing question. You could all of a sudden plan on going to the gym. And next thing you get to the gym, next thing you know, you get that Yetzer Hara telling you, don't do it, I'm tired. That's actually a good resistance. Anytime you're doing something spiritual and you're doing something good, you're going to have resistance. I don't wake up at 4:30 in the morning and say, wow, I want to go meditate. I want to go talk to Hashem. I don't wake up like that. It's, oh my God, I'm so tired. It's 4:30, maybe 10 more minutes. There's something pulling me back. It's the Yetzer Hara pulling me back. I know once I get going, it's the greatest feeling in the world. But that feeling, because this person has a very high soul, and this person has a lot of intent, and this person is probably very spiritual and very holy, the Yetzer Hara wants her not to do it. There's a great line that I once heard, and that the Yetzer Hara can never prevent your prayer from going up. But you know what he could do? He could stop you from praying. You understand? He can't affect, once the prayer goes up, he can't do nothing. But what he could do is he could stop you from praying. So I would tell her, just like a gym, the more resistance is a sign that there's something very, 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 very special what you're doing, and you should continue to do it and don't pay attention to it.
Okay.
Worse comes to worse is don't feel bad that you're getting the thought. Recognize that this thought is challenging you to just do it. It's actually coming because you're doing something amazing.
Okay. We have another question here. How can we detect when when the fear is turning to be negative? Like there is good fear and there is bad fear. So when we know when the fear is becoming negative.
When your fear becomes out of control, like when you recognize that you're putting faith in people instead of God. And you feel the difference, by the way. Your body feels it. When you fear of God, if I fear of sin, for example, if a person fears Hashem, he feels connected. But once you fear something else, you get that anxiety and you get that panic. So usually your body will tell you, by the way you feel, that something's off. I'm not putting the energy in the right place. I hope that helps.
Okay. We have here another question. Karen is asking, how did you get over past bad experiences so fast?
Very good. Because I always believed in Rabbi Nachman's teachings. And he always was an expert at never replaying any old business. And I always looked at any experience that's negative as very simple. Did I win or did I learn? And I always recognize that anything I have to go through in my life, I have to learn a lesson. You know, you can go get married and you could say, oh, this is the perfect wife, this is the perfect situation. I promise you, God's going to teach you a lesson with your wife. He's going to do something, he's going to help you correct yourself with your wife. No matter who you are, there's no such thing that whatever you think that you're going to get into, Hashem's going to throw you on a whole different turn. So I recognize that I could think that I'm going on this road, but my Creator is probably going to take me on this road. So I just get moving. The whole key is to get moving. And you have to also work on your humility. Humility means that I don't know anything, that whatever Hashem is doing for my best. And if he's doing for my best, then what do I need to do next? If I think that he's against me, then that's what usually would keep me lower, keep me down, and keep me depressed, because it's emunah and bitachon. The emunah and bitachon, and from learning from past experience, that what I thought sometimes was the worst situations ended up become the best situations. So I can recall those experiences from the past and just say, he'll do it again for me in another experience.
Okay. Somebody's asking here, is anonymous. He's asking that he was listening from Chachamim in the past few weeks that all the situation we're going through is because we are very into money and workaholics. But now he feels that things are going to be harder and we're going to have to work more to go into normality again. What's your opinion about it?
Right. There is this concept about, I wouldn't say about working harder. I would say that, what worried me very much is when listening to that speech that we're making the money, we're the ones making the money. I'm more concerned about the person saying that he's going to be the one making the money. It's when I'm making the money with my hands, instead of saying it's Hashem giving me the money. So I wouldn't say that you're going to work harder. It's going to force you to recognize that you're nothing without your creator. I mean, I know people that are doing 10 times better now than they were before. They got into mass business, they got into other business. So it doesn't mean you're going to work more. It's to show you that every single time you look at your hands and you wash your hands, recognizing it's not your hands that are making the money for you. It's your creator giving you the money. That's why when we wash our hands, we first put our hands up. Our hands represent faith. Representing that faith is above the head. But when I think I'm strong, what am I saying? My head is making the money. I'm smart. I'm successful. I'm this. So our creator is telling you that I can make you guys completely broke in one day if I wanted to. It gives you humility. It gives us all humility that we are absolutely nothing without our creator.
Okay. If it's fine with you, there is somebody that one asks, he wants to ask based on a question we did before. He wants to know if you could clarify the difference between precaution and fear.
Right. Well, for example, precaution, I want to open up a business. Precaution is I have to do my due diligence. I have to look at the paperwork. I have to see if the business might be good or not. But fear is fearing other people, like fearing that this attorney is going to take my money, fearing that I'm not going to be able to make money because my competitor opened, fearing that if I don't work 24 hours a day, I'm not going to make money, fearing that that Hashem can't provide. You understand? Anytime we fear a person instead of our creator, it's a misplaced fear, which will lead you to anxiety. You know it from, now cautious is anytime you're dealing with business with people, you have to do your due diligence. You have to see what the guy's dealing. You have to see if it's legit. You have to see that, but you have to make a decision. So cautious is being careful with your money, being careful with who you're dealing with. But fear is, just your mind is spiraling out of control on something you can't control. I can control if I do due diligence. I can control, but I can't control if I make the deal and everything's good, then I have to let go. I have to know when to let go. And you need to, and that's a great question for prayer. Hashem, tell me how much due diligence I need to pray. How much should I trust this person? Usually when I'm dealing with business with people, I really put my energy into prayer. Like if I buy a stock, I look up everything about the stock. Okay, I bought it. Now I have to let go. I bought the stock already. Whatever's meant to happen with that stock, if I'm meant to make money, if I'm not meant to make money, that's up to my creator. But I can do my due diligence and research the stock.
Okay. Somebody wrote me here in WhatsApp. He wants me to ask you. He says that once a fear is born inside a person, it is very difficult to just cut it off. working on trusting Hashem is a way to keep it away. Do you have any other recommendations to eliminate it completely?
Yeah, but you have to recognize that sometimes that fear, it's a habit. It's not you. Am I a soul or am I a thought? You have to recognize you're a soul. You're not a thought. I'm not that. I'm not a thought. I'm not a depression. I'm a soul. At times, if I focus on the wrong things, I can get depressed. I'm not that. You have to separate yourself from that. Separate yourself from that. And by doing it is by recognizing you are not that. You are not that. I'm not what I think about. I'm a soul. That's a thought. It's not me. I can observe it, not attach to it.
Okay.
The key is you have to look at your thoughts as an independent third party. We take the thoughts too personal. We're taking them too personal. You understand the problem? You get a thought, oh my God, I'm not supposed to pray. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Oh my God, I'm this. It's the Yetzer Hara talking to your head. So what you need to do is you need to say, like I always tell people, every single time, let's say 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I start getting these thoughts. Oh my God, I got to do a Zoom class at 9 o'clock. I'd rather be chilling out. I'd rather be relaxing. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm tired. I don't want to go. But this is a stupidity that comes to me. But then I say, okay, let's go. We're doing it anyway. But do I get the thoughts of saying, I don't want to do the class, I'm tired? I'd rather, yes, stupidity comes to me, but I'm not that. So you start recognizing you are not your thoughts.
Okay, somebody just, there are coming so many questions. There is one more here that it says, can you help clarify the difference between acceptance and surrendering?
Good question. Well, it's sort of, first, it's without accepting, you can't surrender. You understand? Accepting is acknowledging where you are. Surrendering is connecting. When I go into bittul or surrender, I can basically, I'm closing my eyes to a much bigger picture. You understand? So the first step is accepting. Because if I can't accept, I can't surrender. So acceptance is an act of humility, recognizing that I am where I am. This is the honesty. This is the truth, right? I am an addict. The first step is acceptance. And then you can surrender to say, okay, Hashem, now I accept that this is happening for me. Please let me close my eyes. I know I'm in a lot of pain, and let me recognize that there's something bigger going on. So I can only close my eyes and surrender when I accept and recognizing this is happening for my benefit. Without accepting, I don't recognize this is for my benefit. So first is acceptance, and then is surrender.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gedale. I don't know if Isaac wants to say something else.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much, Gedale.
Okay, good.
You.
Good. Okay, great.
Thank
nice
you.
Guys.
Thank you for everything, Gedale. Thank you for
Vamos a
everything.
tener unos eventos, por favor, para que tenemos a Shlomo Katz y Laser Brody la semana que entra, por favor.
Amazing. You guys are amazing people. I can't wait to go to Mexico City back again. I can't wait. All right, guys?
Thank you, Gedale.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a great day. Bye.